afternoon, students. Welcome to this session for Success at CA exam for paper 3B, Goods and Services Tax. I am CA Shefali Jain and I am your mentor for today's session. I am a faculty for indirect taxes at Board of Studies. This session for CA Success for CA exams, it is a series which has been conducted for May 2025 examination, and the primary objective of conducting these sessions is to augment your preparation and enhance your chances of achieving success in the forthcoming examination. So every discussion, all the points which we will be discussing today will aim at May 2025 examination, and we will try our best to let you know the practices, let you know the points which you need to bear in mind while preparing for the forthcoming examination, while memorizing the concepts. It will help you in improving your performance for the examination. So we'll be telling you the tips for preparing for the forthcoming examination, because you still have around 1.5 months, maybe to be very precise, around 40 days you still have to prepare for the examination. So those of you who are in midst of their preparation or who have started their preparation few weeks back, they still have chance to gear up themselves and prepare for the said examination. Though we always suggest every student to start preparing way back or well before the examination, so that you have a bright chance of attempting the paper well or performing good in the examination. But still, you have 40 days with you, and I suggest every one of you not to waste even a single day, even a single hour. The moment you get geared up, or you have made up your mind that yes, you are going to appear for May 2025 examination, that time itself you should start your preparation with full rigor. So this session will help you in apprising you the points or the things which you need to bear in your mind when you are preparing for the forthcoming examination. We want you to make the best use of the remaining time which you have till the examination. We'll tell you the tips for that, that how can you make best use of the time till examination. And this will help you in improving your performance in the examination. In fact, we have two sessions for BOS for success. In fact, this practice has been is being followed from the last year, that we conduct two series of years for success for CA examination, in which first series is conducted around a month or so before the examination, and second series will be after 15-20 days, which will be nearing the examination, and at that time we'll tell you the examination related tips. So today we'll focus more on the preparation, because you still have time to prepare. Some of you will be in the revision stage, so if time permits, we'll tell you some tips for revision also, that how can you revise before the this in this period of around 1 month before the examination. If you are revising, then what are the points you need to bear in mind? And one more thing which we will let you know is the to learn how to memorize the concepts. Okay. So to learn how to memorize the concepts of the GST law. In case during the session, we'll be discussing all these things. In case you have an issue, you want to ask something during the session, you can raise your hand and then we will unmute you and you can ask your query regarding what is being discussed in the class. Okay, so this is how we will be proceeding in the class. Now, what will be we will be discussing in this class? First is knowing the applicable position of law and publications for May 2025. For forthcoming examination, what will be the applicable position of law, how you have to answer the questions. This is something most of you feel that you know, but when you start attempting the question, you get some issues while answering the question. Sometimes a question is there for which amendment has taken place 2-3 times before the examination. Some, because we know that the applicable position of law for a particular examination, we have a cutoff date, and before that cutoff date, if there are frequent amendments in a particular provision and a question has been asked on that provision, then sometimes the students have a doubt that on what basis we should answer. Should we actually cover the provision, or should we actually answer on the basis of the period which is covered in the question? And since the position has amended, so we have to take different positions. We have to enumerate different positions which have been in place at different point of time, or do we have to answer on the basis of the cutoff date? So for answer for that is that you have to answer on the basis of position of law which is applicable on the cutoff date. Cutoff date we will discuss in the session. But and this is the instruction which is given on the question paper also. Clearly that instruction is given on the question paper, that you have to answer on the basis of position of law applicable on the cutoff date. So whatever amendments have taken place during the year, in past 6 months, 4 months, whatever is there, you need not remember, you need not memorize them. You should know the latest position of law applicable on the cutoff date. Then, if time permits, we'll understand the question paper pattern also. Otherwise, we will take it in the next session, the second session of the BoS Success for CA exam. Third is familiarizing with section-wise and skill-wise weightage. Very important concept, section-wise weightage, that how the entire syllabus has been categorized into different sections and what is the weightage of each section. Because we always recommend the students to prepare or to, you know, study each and every concept which is there in your syllabus. But the point is that the each section has a different weightage, and that is made available to the students on the BOS website. I will go through each and everything thoroughly during the session. Now you have to prepare according to the weightage. Why we suggest this? Because the section which has the highest weightage should be given due attention. You have to pay due attention to that section. You have to prepare it accordingly, so that when you are attempting the question paper, you find that that section which you have prepared well, questions are based, most of the a number of questions are based on that, or a significant portion of the question paper is based on that section, and you have to answer it accordingly. Then, learning the techniques to memorize the concepts and provisions. Now, it is also a very important concept or important aspect of this class. Now, when we are studying anything, we read the study material or whatever questions, everything which we are going through, we go through them and we feel that yes, we have memorized them. But when the examination time comes, it usually happens that we feel that no, we are not able to recall the provisions. So for that, we have devised certain um, age old learning techniques which have been, or you can say tested learning techniques which have been proved useful to many students till now. We will be sharing with you also that how you can use these memory techniques to retain the concepts of GST law and apply them in the examination. Last is revising the significant concepts and amendments. This portion also, if time permits, we'll take it today. Otherwise, we will take it in the next session. But this is how the success at CA examination points which will be dealt. These are those points which will be dealt in success at CA examination. And chapter-wise MCQ quizzes also we can take if time permits. And if any of you have any doubt in MCQ quizzes, you can ask that. Now, before we start the session, I hope all of you are aware that this paper 3 taxation, has two sections. Section A, income tax law, and section B, goods and services tax. Each of the section carries a weightage of 50 marks. And in GST, the questions which are asked, they are divided into two sections or two portions. Division A is based on the case scenario based MCQs, and division B is the descriptive portion. So we are here, we have which in this section or in this session, we will be dealing with the 50 marks portion of goods and services tax, that what are the points you need to bear in mind for this particular paper. Now, the most important point for examination. What is the applicable position of law which is applicable for the forthcoming examination? The cutoff date for May 2025 examination is 31st October 2024. Whatever amendments have taken place through notifications till 31st October, they are applicable for you. Plus the Finance Act. Now we come to the Finance Act. Last year was an election year. So all of you know that the budget has come. The budget was presented twice a year. First of all, in the month of February, that was the interim budget because the old government was there at that time. The interim budget, Finance Act 2024 was present, Finance Bill 2024 was presented, which later became Finance Act 2024. Some amendments were proposed through that bill, which became act later on. Then came the second budget in the month of July, and the act subsequently became Finance Number 2 Act 2024. Now, the amendment made by Finance Act 2024, they are not applicable for May 2025 examination, because whatever amendments made by the Finance Act which have become effective up to 31st October will only be applicable for your examination. Now, GST law has this peculiarity or uniqueness that the amendments made by the budget or the finance bills, finance acts, they do not get implemented on the day of the enactment of the bill. Generally, the amendments become effective from a subsequent date. Now, that date is notified separately by way of a notification. Most of the amendments made by Finance Act 2024 as well as Finance Number 2 Act 2024, they have become effective after 31st October 2024. That was our cutoff date. So, after this cutoff date, these amendments have become effective and therefore they are not applicable. Only that amendment which is applicable for your examination has been incorporated in the study material. It pertains to ITC section 16 that you have to go through. That is there in the study material also. Only that amendment you have to refer. Now comes the question that how to best utilize the time available till the examination. So how can you make use of this time? Because at this point of time, first of all, you have to assess your level of preparation, at which stage of your preparation you are. You have just prepared you have just started preparation few days back. There will be very few students who are who must have started, who would have started few days back. But in case you are in that stage also, I would suggest don't give up. You have to you still can gear up, you still can achieve something in these forthcoming examination. If you have started preparation few weeks back, then also you have a fair chance. And if you have completed one round of study and you are now in the revision stage, then you are in a comfortable situation. So first of all, you have to assess that in which stage of your preparation you are at present. And first thing which we need to do at this point of time is we have to stay motivated. Those who have studied, who have started studying way back, maybe 2 3 months back, sometimes at a point of time what happens, we get demotivated. Even after studying so much, we know that yes, we are in a comfortable situation, we have completed our syllabus of all the subjects once, and we are now revising. But it so happens that due to the the complexity of the syllabus, the number of papers which we have to deal at a particular point of time, it so happens that many a times we get discouraged or we get demotivated. Sometimes we get tired also by studying so much that yes, we have been struggling or striving for such a long time, we are slogging ourselves, not being connected to anything in the world, or we are not being participating in any of the leisure activities, we are just focusing on study. That also sometimes makes us very demotivated that yeah, that now we can't move further or we can't continue like this for a longer time. So this is the time that you have to stay motivated, because you have done so much, you have prepared so much. Now this, at this point of time, you can't get demotivated. You have to refer to motivational quotes, you have to see your vision, that what you actually want to achieve. Because once you clear these examinations, what is the difference that is going to be there in your life, you have to envision that. That should be, you should on a daily basis, what you can do when you get up in the morning, first thing you need to visualize is that when you pass these examination, or the in May 25 examination, if you achieve success, then what will be the difference that will be there in your life. You have to envision that, you have to visualize that. That will help you in staying motivated. Some of the motivational quotes which we can refer is, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always try just one more time, because giving up is very, very easy. We have to keep going, we have to keep trying, and success comes only when we give ourselves one more time. So, if we have not achieved success, we generally, it is the tendency to give up. But if we are striving, if we keep going, then it actually gives us success. One more quote is there of Michael Jordan. It says, I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost around almost 300 games. 26 times I have been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. So, this was the failure which he faced. I have failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. So, he is actually attributing his success to his failures. So our failures should not demotivate us. Our failures should actually motivate us, that whatever bad could happen has happened. Now whatever will happen is good, and I will succeed. Only thing is I have to keep going and I should not give up in the in any situation. Now let us see what strategy one needs to follow in the forthcoming examination. Okay. Now I am assuming that if any of you have just started the preparation, or few days back you have started the preparation, you are in the mid of your preparation, whatever stage you are, On this date also you have to create a study plan, because you have to see whatever is left, whatever portion is left which you need to cover, and what time you have with you till the examination, keeping some time for the first paper, as well as if time permits some time should be there for the revision, one revision before the examination for all the papers. So whatever you have decided, one group or two groups, accordingly you have to prepare a study plan. So allocate the total available time to the topics or the portion which you have to cover, and accordingly make a study plan, and try to make the study plan feasible which you will be able to follow. You have to keep your working hours ready, that how study hours, that how much hours in a day you are going to study, from what time to time you will be studying, and how much time you have allocated for relaxation during a day. Accordingly you have to prepare a study plan. Now, when you are preparing a study plan, you have to prioritize the important topics. For that, we will see the section-wise weightage, as we have already discussed, that I will be telling you the section-wise weightage. I will be taking you through the section-wise weightage for this paper, which will help you in prioritize the important topics of the paper. So first you have to cover those topics. You have to do them thoroughly, and afterwards you have to cover the remaining topics. Then the next step is gain conceptual understanding. Now, when you are studying a topic, you have to gain the conceptual understanding in that topic. You just don't have to go through that topic and jump to the questions. No. Go through the topic, try to understand each and every provision. And in fact, if you prepare notes for that particular topic, that will also help you in gaining the conceptual understanding, because you have to apply those provisions in the examination straight away. Questions are very less, very few questions are asked which you can answer on the basis of provision itself. Generally you have to apply that provision to answer that question. So we suggest the students to gain the in-depth understanding of each and every topic, and especially the topics which have the highest weightage in the sections which have the highest weightage. Then we will discuss you should follow is that you should memorize the concepts. Now how you can memorize the concepts, that we will discuss during the session. And as I told you, that you prepare or compile the summaries. Now when I say compile, why I said compile, because we have prepared saransh also for intermediate examination. For May 2025 examination, for the first time, saransh for intermediate student has been launched. So I would suggest all of you to go through that. It is the pictorial representation. It is a colored booklet which will help you in revising the concepts day before examination. Now, sometimes it so happens that whatever concepts are given in Saransh, and when you are actually studying in before in the preparatory time, or when you are actually preparing for that particular paper, you may feel certain in other topics also which you need to incorporate in that Saransh to make it complete no in the form of complete notes which you can refer before the examination. So those uh, points, those circulars, notifications, or something which you need to add to your saransh, that you should do at this point of time itself, so that every chapter is complete in itself in the form of saransh, and you can refer it before the examination. In fact, you can do this for the questions also. That when you start a chapter, first you have to read all the concepts, you have to understand them, then you have to see the saransh, or the let us recapitulate section of the study material. You have to make it exhaustive, or you have to customize it as per your requirement, as per your understanding, that you feel that this particular portion also I need to add it here, because I might forget it before the examination, I need to revise it before the examination. So that all those points you need to add to saransh. Then you will start solving the questions. Now in questions also, you feel that there are certain questions you feel that have tricky points in them, and you need to refer them before the examination. Those questions also you should mark, and this entire material you should refer before the examination. That will make a complete study material which you need to refer before the examination, but that will not be so bulky that you will not be able to revise from it. You have to keep it short also, or brief also, so that it does not become that much bulky that you are not able to revise it or refer it for revision purpose. Next comes the regular revisions or past practice papers or MTPs. Now, how you are going to revise? So once you have prepared for everything, now you have to revise the entire syllabus. In fact, not only day before examination, but before the start of the examination also, as I suggested, that you should at least keep 7 to 10 days. Those who have lesser time, they can keep 7 to 10 days. Those who have already completed, this whole time should be devoted to revision only. Now, in this revision time, what you can refer is you can refer the mock test papers. You can practice the past year question papers also. But when you are referring the past year question papers, I would suggest that you should go through the amendments also, because past year question papers will be based on the position of law, which will be applicable, which would have been applicable for the respective examination. But after that, many amendments would have taken place. So when you are referring the past year question papers, then you need to refer the amendments also, or statutory update during the relevant period or intervening period, whatever amendments have come. That should also be considered while answering the questions of the examination. For mock test papers, we have come out with a booklet also. A separate booklet is there, which has 8 mock test papers for your practice. Apart from that, we have already conducted one series of the mock test papers. You can attempt that also. But all the mock test papers, it is always suggested that you should attempt in the exam-like conditions. The mock test paper series, which is being conducted at present, as well as one more series of mock test paper will be there. Mock test paper booklet is up to you how you want to refer it. You can refer it in two ways. You can attempt all those papers one by one under exam like conditions, keeping 3 years in a stretch for a 3 years time. Or what you can do is you can refer the relevant questions of relevant chapters from all the mock test papers in one go. Whichever chapter you are referring, you can see the questions of those chapters from the mock test papers and practice them. So you can use it as a practice or question bank also, practice booklet or question bank. It is up to your preference. Now, next is that you need to maintain a healthy lifestyle also during this period, because um, this entire period which is available to you, it should not be shortened, it should not be reduced because of the any your ill health. So try to maintain a healthy lifestyle and stay positive and motivated. Now, for the lifestyle habits, now if you want to have healthy lifestyle habits for better memory, you should have a sound sleep. You should have a balanced diet during this period, because sound sleep is very important. To whatever time you are devoting to study, you are able to grasp what you are doing. You should have a balanced diet, because to maintain a healthy lifestyle, or to keep up your health, to maintain your health, your diet should be proper. You should take a balanced diet, and you should stay away from distractions. This is the most important point, I would say, because this is the time we get distracted from all the possible things in the world, our social media, phones, mobile phones, then whatever messages we are getting from sometimes some rumors are also there. This is going to happen in the examination. This thing is not there. This will come. This will not come. Our friends are calling us. Some of them are anxious for the examination. Sometimes we feel that we get some types of announcements. So whatever is important from the examination point of view is hosted on the BOS knowledge portal, BOS website. I would suggest you to refer that on regular basis. That is not an issue. Otherwise, you should try to stay away from the social media. You can refer the lectures on BOS app. That is also a fruitful or the constructive medium of getting connected with the outside world. But apart from that, stay away from distractions which make you demotivated, or which anyway staggers you from the path. So try to keep your focus towards towards the examination, and stay away from all the distractions for the examination. This you can do by keeping away from the phones, laptops, to the extent possible. I'm not saying that you should not study from the laptop, you should not use your mobile phones for studying, but for other kind of distractions, you should try to stay away. So for achieving this success, you have to believe in yourself, you have to apply these strategies which we'll be discussing in this session, and you have to stay calm. You have to manage the stress, the anxiety which you will be facing during the exam, before the examination, in your preparation stage. For all that, you need to have some meditation practices. You need to follow some meditation practices. You need to be cool and calm throughout this process. You have to stay motivated. Now we'll come to the relevant BOS publications. So first and foremost is the study material. Because when you are preparing for the examination, you first have to refer the study material. In order to clarify your concept, in order to understand a concept, you have to refer the study material. In fact, for study material, I will take you through with some of the special features of the study material. Let us open the study material in the website. I think you can see where will you get the study material for May 2025 examination. This is the taxation study material for May 2025 examination. And this study material will be applicable for May 25 examination, September 25, and January 26. So for these three consecutive attempts, same study material will be applicable. Only thing is that for May examination, you need not refer any statutory update because everything is amended up to 31st October 2024, which is your cutoff date. But for September and for January 26, you need to refer the statutory update, which will be hosted on the website. This is the study material, and I will open a chapter so that you can know the unique features which we have in the study material. First is the learning outcomes, which gives you an idea that what you are going to actually study in the chapter, and a chapter overview is there. That these are the concepts which are discussed in the chapter. After that, in GST study material, you will find the statutory provisions. So first of all the statutory provisions are given to you. They will be followed by an in-depth analysis of that particular section, schedule, rule, or the whatever the provisions we have discussed in the study material. So their analysis is in-depth analysis in simple and lucid language. It is given to you. So this is one of the feature. Now then we have the MCQ quizzes. I will take you through one of the MCQ quizzes, which will give you an idea that how we have asked the In fact, examples, illustrations at appropriate places have also been incorporated. Then we have the MCQ quizzes. Now, these quizzes generally test a very tricky or conceptual point. If you try to attempt these quiz on your own, you will definitely be able to clarify some of your points, some of your tricky issues which are involved in the law. And that is why we have not given the answers in the book. You have to scan the QR code which is given at the end of the chapter for getting their answers, because we generally get tempted to see the answers whenever we see any question. So I would suggest whenever you do any chapter, then you should try, after completing that chapter, you should try to attend these MCQ quizzes and then you refer the answers which are given. You will definitely, most of the quizzes have some or the other issue or some or the other tricky point which students generally find difficult to answer. So focus on these quizzes. These are there in the concept, the core provisions or the substantive provisions of law. Visual imageries. Now, visual imageries is they help in retaining the concept. Visual imageries help in retaining the concept. Like see, if you see the study material, you will find lot of visual imageries during the discussion course of discussion, which have been incorporated at the relevant places so that they help you in retention during the examination. Now, whenever we read a particular provision, we read a particular topic, and we see some visuals with regard to that particular provision, then at the time of revision, that it helps us in recalling that particular provision. That image helps us in recalling that particular provision. That is why these visual imageries are there. Then we have the let us recapitulate section, which I just discussed with you. It is in the form of Saransh also, available in the form of Saransh separately in a colored format. So you can refer either Saransh or you can refer the let us recapitulate section also. It is amended for May 2025 examination. Pictorial representation is there and it will help you in retaining the concept. So you can go through the let us recapitulate section and you can try to make it customized as per your requirement or as per your convenience, that you feel that no, this is certain thing which I would remember, I don't need to refer it before examination, something you need to add to this summary or this section, you can do that. Then we have the crossword. So this is also covered. Now crossword puzzles. So just to enhance your memory or retention for the examination, we have given crossword puzzles at the end of the chapter. These are the crossword puzzles. So once you solve these crossword puzzles, certain things you will be able to memorize for the examination, because you have to memorize all the provisions. It's a closed book paper. You have to memorize the provisions. It helps in memorizing the question, the provisions in a fun manner. You will be able to memorize them. And in fact, in this chapter, one more thing I would like to draw your attention towards. Now, this is the amendment which is made by the Finance number 2 at 2024, which is given to you in this chapter. Now, I already discussed with you that most of the amendments made by Finance Number 2 Act 2024 are not applicable for your examination. This is one such amendment. It has been clearly mentioned here that since this amendment has become effective from 1st of November 2024, this amendment is not applicable for May 25. However, it will be effective for September and January 26 examination. And so therefore, those students who are appearing for September examination, for January 2026 examination, they need to refer this section or they need to refer this amendment. But in case you are appearing for May 2025, then this is not applicable, as we have already discussed. We have given it in your chapter so that in case you are studying this study material for any subsequent attempt, September 2025 or January 2026, then you have to refer this amendment in place of the existing provision which is given in the chapter. So that content you need to replace. Here there is no replacement because two paras have been added. So no, there is no requirement of replacing anything. But in certain chapters you will find some topics which have been replaced also. Now, the next thing is that, so this is the entire composition of the chapter. In fact, in procedural part, we have the rapid fire quizzes also. We'll see one of the chapter where we have the rapid fire quizzes, which is given at the end of the chapter. See, in this form, we have the rapid fire quizzes also. So one, very small answers will be there to these questions. They will also help you in testing your memory because in procedure mainly, you have to test or you have to be very thorough with the concepts. You have to memorize the concepts, the timelines which are given, due dates are given, rates are there, everything you need to memorize. So for that, rapid fire quizzes are given to you. One important thing I would like to highlight here is that in the study material this time, you will find that in certain provisions we have excluded from the for the examination point of view. For example, the late fee provision. Now we have given specifically mentioned that this provision is not applicable for the examination, only for reference purpose that is given. And at many places you will find such type of provisions which are only for the information of the students. They are not relevant for the examination. Study guidelines is one thing which has the broad concepts which are excluded from the study material. Those topics which are given in study guidelines, I will take you through study guidelines also. Those concepts you do not have to discuss or you do not have to study. Those concepts are not given, most of them are not there in the study material per se. However, few more concepts, few more topics, or you can say subtopics, which are not relevant for your examination purpose, only given for your reference. They have been there in your study material and specifically it has been mentioned. So you have to be very careful while going through the study material. And you should know that yes, this topic is not relevant for the examination. I'm reading it only for my information purpose. So whenever you feel that you do not have sufficient time, then you can skip that portion because you can anytime come back afterwards also to refer that provision for the knowledge purpose. Okay. Now next comes is so let us see the website. In fact, in the website itself, we'll see the study guide, the section wise and skill wise weightage also. Just the so these are the study guidelines and okay, section wise weightage is this. So for intermediate examination, first of all, we'll take the study guidelines. We'll see the study guidelines first. This is the section wise weightage. Let us, okay, this is the study, actually the study guidelines which are there. Okay. Let me show you once again. Mm. Yes. So in GST law, in charge of GST chapter, rates of goods as well as the rates of services which are applicable on any particular good or service which has been supplied is excluded from the purview of the syllabus. So you need not refer that. That means you need not memorize the rates which are applicable on goods and services, plus the reverse charge provision for goods. They are outside the purview of your syllabus, so you need not memorize them. You will find a brief mention of the goods on which reverse charge provisions are applicable. You will find a small list of the rate of which goods and services which are applicable, GST rates. But that is only for reference. As I told you that few concepts have been there in the study material only for reference purpose. You need not refer that. You need not memorize them. And the exemption for goods and services. So for services, it is applicable. Reverse charge provision for services are applicable for the examination, but reverse charge for goods, exemption for goods is not in the syllabus. It is outside the purview of the syllabus. Then come the place of supply provisions. Now, say place of supply chapter, if you have referred, it contains only the domestic transactions. Okay, so domestic transactions, that means whatever place of supply we need to determine for the transactions which are taking place domestically within India will be relevant. If any of the supplier or recipient is outside India, that provision will not be applicable. So that makes only section 10 and section 12 applicable for you. Section 11 and section 13, section 14, 14A, which requires one of the, which or under which one of the recipient or supplier is outside India, which cover the cross-border transactions, that is not relevant for you. This is important point you should know, that OIDR provisions, the special provision for payment of tax by an OIDR supplier, these are not part of your syllabus, and this is not covered in the study material also, because this is not for your examination, not relevant for your examination. In time of supply also, change in rate of tax in respect of supply of goods or services is not applicable. Then we have basic concepts of value of supply. So therefore, the valuation rules are also not part of your syllabus. Next comes the ITC chapter. In ITC chapter, again, reversal provisions are not applicable. Now, the question might come in your mind that why reversal provisions have been excluded, or why valuation rules have been excluded. Generally, for intermediate examination, the for intermediate examination, whatever concepts we feel that they might be difficult for an intermediate student to understand and to apply, they are excluded. So all the real estate provisions, the reversal provisions in the ITC chapter, they have been excluded from the purview of your syllabus at the intermediate level. You just have to know the basic concepts of the input tax credit, which is there in your syllabus. Okay. So entire study material, okay, this is, I think, previous session was there, previous guidelines were there. Now, section-wise weightage, I have to, I will just give you an idea about the section-wise weightage. There are three sections in our study, in our, entire syllabus. First section is the section 1, which covers all the core provisions of GST. When I say core provisions, it means that the substantive provisions of GST, or which are very necessary for understanding the basic aspect of GST. So if we go through the study material, why I want to go through the study material for the section wise weightage? Because I want you to know when you are studying the study material that this is something which you need to pay attention. These are the chapters on which you need to pay attention to. So let us see the chapters. Just a minute. See, chapter 2, supply under GST. That means the concept of supply, concept of charge, place of supply, then exemption. These are the core provisions, substantive provisions of GST. So, okay, I think that now it will be more visible to you. Chapter 5, exemptions. Chapter 6, time of supply. Then chapter 7, value of supply. And the next chapter, which is there in module 2, and that is, yeah, I'm going to initial pages only because this will give you an idea of the chapters. Chapter 8, input tax credit. So all the chapters starting from chapter 2 to chapter 8, they are the substantive provisions of GST. They are the core provisions of GST. They cover what you should be knowing for understanding the basic aspect of GST. So these provisions, they have the highest weightage. Almost more than 50% of the question paper will be there from this section, from these chapters. So you can understand the importance of these sections. So you should be very thorough with these topics. You have to understand these topics properly. You have to go through these sections, go through these chapters, and try to go through the provisions which are discussed in these chapters. This is the most important section of your entire syllabus, chapter 2 to chapter 8, that is the substantive provisions. After that come the procedural aspects of GST, that is registration, Then we have the tax invoice, accounts and records, e-way bill, payment of tax, then TDS, TCS, returns. So these provisions are the procedural aspects. Now they have the second weightage, or they cover these the most after the substantive provisions. The second most important aspect of GST will be the procedural aspects. So these chapters you have to do after you are thorough with your substantive provisions. After you are thorough with chapter 2 to 8, you have to cover these provisions. And then comes the introduction to GST, that is the basic concept of GST, or the introduction to GST which we have in chapter 1. That is an important chapter, but section wise weightage, if we see the section wise weightage, then it comes at the third place or the last place. So accordingly you have to prepare for your examination, because you know that this is the overall sequence, overall the weightage which has been provided to each of the sections or each of the chapter. Overall the chapters have been clubbed into various sections, and then sections have been provided the weightage. Now we come to the effective memory techniques for CA students, because we will be giving you certain examples also for how you can enhance the your memory for a particular topic. So you go through this slide, what it actually mentions. Yeah. So for memory, one of the powerful memory technique is mnemonics. We should use mnemonics to memorize the concepts. The acronyms, acrostics are there, and you must be aware of the word acronym, acrostics, what it is. We generally use it, or we must have come across some acronyms in our studying, in our studies. Then second is try understanding logic or intent of the provision. Third is visual imagery, which we have given in the study material. And fourth one is the repetition or flashcards, sticky notes, which you can use. Now, first is acronyms. You can make small, short acronyms for the certain words, certain important key terms, which you have in definitions, which you have in the provisions, and you want to retain them. For that, you can use the acronyms, or you can use acrostics also. I will take you through some of the examples also for this. Second is try to understand the logic or intent of the provision. Now, if you know why this provision has been included, why this provision has been incorporated in the law, then that will also help you in retaining that particular concept, because we know the basic intent of that particular provision. So if we know the provision, we can retain it. We can memorize it easily, or we can memorize it quickly. So try to understand the logic or intent. We have discussed it so many places in the study material also, that why a particular provision has been introduced. That will help you in retaining that concept. Third is the visual imagery. Once you have a particular image associated with a particular provision, that makes the retention of that provision easier. And fourth one is repetition. Now, if any of these technique is not working, then last technique is the repetition, that you have to repeatedly keep revising or going through that particular provision. So some rates are given to you, some due dates are given to you, and you feel that none of the techniques is working on that particular thing, then you can use the repetition technique. So you can put it on your in your study room, you can put it on the wall, you can keep all the due dates at one place, and you can keep on revising them. So whenever you take a break after resuming your studies, you can first go through those due dates, you can go through those dates, and this you can do in all of any of the subjects where you feel that something you are not able to retain for a longer time, because you are not able to find any particular logic or any kind of acronyms. There's no technique through which you can remember them. So otherwise, if you are not able to revise or to recall them, then the another technique is the repetition, that you can keep on revising them almost on a daily basis, and keep it handy either on your wall or along with your system. You can put sticky notes also. For small things, you can put sticky notes, so that whenever you are resuming your studies after taking a break, make it a habit that you have to go through those provisions, and that will make you memorize them in an easy manner. You can use flashcards also. That will also help you in memorizing those concepts which you are not otherwise able to memorize. Now, I will give you some examples of the acronyms. Like when I say acronyms, you can use what are these acronyms. Okay. Now, first and the foremost thing in the GST law is the definition of supply. Okay. This is the most important definition under GST law. We have to remember it. We have to memorize the entire definition properly. First, you know that the GST definition is an inclusive definition. So that is something which most of us will not forget if we have gone through the law once and we have understood the concepts. We know that it is a inclusive definition. Now, supply includes all forms of supply of goods or services, and then 8 illustrative forms of supply are given to you, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in course or furtherance of business. So after studying this definition, we have identified few keywords in this definition, or the parameters of supply, which we generally refer as. So first is supply includes all forms of supply of goods or supply of services. Then the illustrative forms of supply are disposal, sale, license, rental, barter, exchange, lease, transfer. And now supply should be made for a consideration and in course of furtherance of business. So these are the keywords. Goods or services, supply should be made for goods, supply of goods or services, supply should be made for a consideration, supply should be made in course or furtherance of business. And then we have 8 illustrative forms of supply. So for this, how we have abbreviated it is this. You can use any other abbreviation as per your area of interest. Somebody is interested in sports, somebody is interested in movies, or some classical form of things. So whatever you feel is your area of interest, and as per your interest area, you can categorize, you can abbreviate your studies, your portions of study which you want to abbreviate, you want to remember, that you can do as per your area of interest. Now we have prepared the acronym as DSLR belt, BELT off. Now DSLR belt are the 8 illustrative forms of supply which we have just mentioned here. GS is goods or services. So these illustrative forms of supply of goods or services made for consideration and for business will form supply, or they are included in supply. So DSLR belt, that is disposal, sale, license, rent, then barter, exchange, and lease, and then we have the transfer. These 8 forms of supply of goods or services for consideration or for business purpose form supply. This is how you can remember the keywords. So one of the way of making the acronyms. Another example can be, we know that there are certain supplies which are outside the purview of GST, from which right now they are outside the purview of GST. GST would be levied on them from a notified date. So for that we have the the ATF, high speed diesel, natural gas, petroleum crude, and motor spirit. So for this we have done FD of GPS. So as I told you, this is my way of making the acronym. But you can use your innovations. You can have your own ways through which you can easily recall that whenever you think that what are those supplies, so you can make some other acronym also as per your preference. Okay. Now, example of acrostics also. You can say take some key words also from a particular provision to make a sentence or to make something meaningful which you can recall during examination. For example, Schedule 1 activities. Now, you know in Schedule 1, the activities which have been undertaken without consideration, they are also deemed as supply. Now, there are 4 paras given in Schedule 1. Now, we want to recall those 4 paras during examination because in many questions, this can be applied. There can be some instances where you need to apply this Schedule 1 provisions. So for that, what acronym I have made is, in first para, I have taken permanent transfer. Now, this is a keyword which is here. Then between related person. Now, when I say related person, distinct person should automatically come to my mind. By a principal to his agent, and then last one, import of services. These are the keywords in each of the para. Now, as per them, the sentence which I have made is permanent transfer between related or distinct persons by principal or agent for import of services. Now, through this sentence, we will be able to recall the 4 paras of Schedule 1. And this is how this acrostics work. Acrostics means you need to take some keywords from each of the provision, and then you have to make a sentence. So you don't need to make acronym, you need to make a sentence through using the keywords. A meaningful sentence should be there so that you can recall or you can retain that. Similarly, we have notified services on which tax is payable by the electronic commerce operator under Section 95 of CGST Act or Section 5, subsection 5 of the IGST Act. So for that, we have made the sentence as transportation of passengers except by omnibus of company to hotel and restaurant for housekeeping. See the keywords. In first service, service by way of transportation of passengers. The keyword is transportation of passengers. So you have to remember, first of all, the transportation of passengers and then except by omnibus. Now, omnibus is the exclusion here. In fact, for omnibus, we have another entry which says omnibus of company. So in case of omnibus also, if it is a company, then the ECO provision, then section 95 provisions will not apply. It will not be a notified service. So that is why we have mentioned in our sentence, except by omnibus of company. Now, omnibus is excluded from this particular para. There is a separate entry for omnibus. In that entry also, omnibus of company is excluded. So that is why we have mentioned it in the sentence which we have formed for retaining this. Service by way of providing accommodation of hotels. Now, hotels should give you an idea that yes, it is an accommodation services are included here. Restaurant services are included and housekeeping services. Now, housekeeping, plumbing, all these services are included, but housekeeping we have taken, you can frame it the sentence in your in any other way. In case housekeeping, we include plumbing, carpentering, etc. So any other way, if you find comfortable, you can make your own acrostics, but this is something which we have designed or devised for retaining the concept. For reverse charge also, we have made, we can help you in retaining the reverse charge provisions also. There is no acrostics, acronyms which are there for reverse charge because it is a complete list which is there. But in reverse charge, we have some memory technique I have devised or we have devised for the purpose of the retaining or recalling these services during the examination. They will be based on the supplier as well as recipient, that concept. That means who is the supplier and who is the recipient in this case. Now, the legal, wherever the recipient is important, we have taken recipient. Who is the recipient? On the basis of that, we have categorized these services so that you can retain, on the basis of this categorization, you will be able to recall these services in the examination. First of which is the where recipient is a business entity. First categorization says where recipient is a business entity, then we have three services under reverse charge category. Or if your recipient is a business entity and you are providing any of these three services, tax will be payable under reverse charge by the recipient. Recipient, and who is the recipient here? Business entity. So if legal services are being provided, and in case of legal services, if you remember your exemptions chapter, the business entity should have its aggregate turnover in the previous year exceeding the threshold limit for registration. Whatever is the applicable threshold limit of that particular business entity, it should not, it should have more turnover exceeding, it should have an aggregate turnover exceeding that threshold limit in the preceding financial year. Then only it will become taxable. And once it becomes taxable, it comes under the purview of reverse charge because the business entity, we have notification number 13 by 2017, which provides that legal services where the recipient is a business entity will be taxed under reverse charge. Second service are the services provided by an arbitral tribunal to a business entity. So here also one exemption works, but exemption in case these services are not exempt, the business entity has its turnover exceeding threshold limit in the preceding financial year, then it becomes taxable and then reverse charge provisions will be applicable. Third is the government services. Now government services, in government services, the whenever the state government, central government, or local authority is providing any services to business entity, they will be taxable under the reverse charge. Now, this helps us in retaining that we have remembered these three services. We know that legal services, arbitral tribunal services, and government services, if they are being provided to a business entity, then reverse charge provisions will apply. So, if we should see from the side of recipient, then we have to categorize it in such manner that whenever the recipient is a business entity, then there are three services on which we will pay tax under reverse charge. Legal services, arbitral services provided by an arbitral tribunal, and the government services. Okay. Next is the if recipient is a registered person. Now, if your recipient is a registered person, then what are the services or which services will be taxed under reverse charge? First is renting of immovable property service provided by the government. If state government, central government, local authority, if it is providing a if it is renting its immovable property to a registered person, then the tax will be paid under reverse charge. So first is renting of immovable property service. Second is the renting of residential dwelling or commercial property, renting of commercial property. Now here there is a catch. In case of renting of residential dwelling, if the recipient is registered person, then it will be taxed under reverse charge. Now supplier can be registered, supplier can be unregistered also, but the recipient should be a registered person. Supplier can be any person. Then this will be taxed under reverse charge. So in case of residential dwelling, it will be supplier can be any person. But in case of property other than residential dwelling, in case you are renting out any property other than residential dwelling, that means it will be a commercial property. In that case, if your recipient is an unregistered person, and for receive if your supplier is an unregistered person, sorry, here, supplier can be any person in case of renting of residential dwelling. In case of commercial property, it should be an unregistered person. Supplier should be an unregistered person. Here, supplier should be any person. And recipient, we have already mentioned, should be a registered person. Then reverse charge provisions will attract. So if you are renting out any residential dwelling, then any person who is renting out his residential dwelling need not pay the tax if his recipient is a registered person. On the other side, if you are renting out a commercial property, then if supplier is an unregistered person and recipient is a registered person, then the tax will be paid under reverse charge if your recipient is a registered person and supplier is unregistered. Okay. Last is the security services. In case you are providing security services by supply of security personnels, and your recipient is a registered person, then tax will be paid under RCM. So these are the four services: renting of immovable property, and related to that, renting of residential dwelling, renting of commercial property, and security services. These four services will be taxed under reverse charge. Here in this point, there are two services. So one is here, two are here, and one service is here also. Okay. Now, next way of categorizing the RCM services is the banking related services. Okay. Now here we have not categorized it on the basis of recipient or supplier. We have categorized on the basis of nature of services. So those services which are related to banking on which RCM provisions are applicable are the individual direct selling agent, recovery agent services, then business facilitator, business correspondent. Now with DSC, we have added the word I. Why I have done this? Because IDSA means individual direct selling agent. Now, this by adding this word I here, we would always be able to recall that the direct selling agent will be liable to will be or you can say that tax will be paid in case of the direct selling agent under reverse charge only when it is an individual direct selling agent. So direct selling agent, if he is a body corporate, if he is a partnership firm, then the reverse charge provisions will not apply. But if he is an individual direct selling agent and he is providing these services to a banking company, okay, then the reverse charge provisions will apply. Banking related services are there. You know who is a direct selling agent? Direct selling agent, he brings business to the banking company. He's selling the products, but he's not selling the products on his own. He's helping in selling the products by bringing business to the company. He brings the business to the company. He uh, sells the markets the product on behalf of the banking company, and then in this way he brings business for the banking company. Second is the recovery agent. Now once the business has been done, or when banking services have been provided, now we need the recovery of our amount, or the recovery of consideration is there. So for that we have the recovery agent services. Now recovery agent, if he is providing his services to a banking company, then the tax will be payable under reverse charge. So these two services are easy to remember, that banking related services, recovery agent, There is no such condition which is associated individual or otherwise. Recovery agent, any services provided by a recovery agent to a banking company, RCM will be there. Business facilitator. Business facilitator, they generally operate on very small scale. That means in rural areas, generally they operate in rural areas. They can be there in the urban areas also, but they operate on behalf of a banking company. And they are generally individuals who operate on behalf of the banking company. They also, opening of the accounts in the area, in small areas, or where the distant locations. So for that, we have the business facilitators and business correspondents, which a banking company employ for undertaking activities in the remote areas. So for that, if business facilitator is providing any services to a banking company, that will also be taxable under reverse charge. In case of the business correspondent, if the agent of business correspondent is providing any services to a business correspondent, so here this business correspondent services need not be provided to a banking company. The agent has to provide the services to the business correspondent. Okay. Agent of business correspondent is providing services to business correspondent, then in that case, that would also be taxed under reverse charge, and business correspondent has to pay the tax. In these three cases, banking company has to pay the tax. In this case, business correspondent has to pay the tax. Yeah, Nilesh is saying supplier in case of security services. Supplier can be who is the supplier in case of the security services? You are saying that if I'm saying that the registered person has to be the recipient, then who will be there in the security services? I think it should be a body corporate who should be there in the security services. Let me confirm this for you. Any person other than body corporate should be there. So any person other than body corporate, if he is supplying security services by way of supply of security personals to a registered person, then that will be taxable under reverse charge. Supplier registered or not registered? Okay, that does not actually is relevant. If supplier is, in fact, if you see, if your supplier is not registered also, and that service is taxable under reverse charge. For example, your recipient is a registered person, your supplier is not a body corporate, a partnership firm is there, a partnership firm who is not registered, which that partnership firm is not registered, it is supplying services to a registered company or another registered partnership firm, that can also be there, but that the supplier is not registered, recipient is registered. And even if recipient is not registered, it has to take registration, because once a supply falls within the purview of section 9(3), then it has to be, the tax has to be paid under reverse charge, and tax had to be paid by the recipient. Even if the supplier is not registered, it does not make any difference, because this recipient, the liability to pay tax or deposit tax is on the recipient. In that case, the fact that the supplier is not registered will not change the situation. Tax will still be paid by the recipient, tax will still be paid under the reverse charge mechanism. Hope that is clear to you. And if DSA Kiran is not individual, then in that case, the tax will not be paid under reverse charge. Tax will be paid under forward charge. DSA, who is a partnership firm, who is a body corporate, DSA has to pay the tax. Okay. Okay, Nilesh. So you got this point. Now, these are some of the services which we have covered in the reverse charge. Now we come to the other point. Recipient is a body corporate, where a recipient is a body corporate. Okay. Now see, renting of motor vehicle. Now, renting of motor vehicle, where the cost of fuel is included in the value of supply, then the invoice is not raised at the rate of 12% or 6% CGST, 6% SGST, or 12% IGST. So invoice should not be raised, because there are two rates which are applicable for renting of motor vehicle. So in case of 12%, where the supplier is opting for 12%, then the RCM will not apply. But where the supplier is opting for the another rate, 2.5% CGST, SGST, or 5% rate. So I've not mentioned everything, because here I am only taking the memory from the memory point of view, or from the key aspect which I am covering here. So if your recipient is a body corporate, If your recipient is a body corporate, there are two services on which RCM will be applicable. Renting of motor vehicle, director services. Director services we will discuss afterwards. First of all, renting of motor vehicle. So I have already discussed that. Now here, in fact, you see the supplier should be a non-body corporate in case of the motor vehicle. Okay. So a non-body corporate supplier of service of renting of motor vehicle to a body corporate, cost of fuel included in value of supply, invoice not raised at the rate of 12%. If all these conditions are satisfied, then reverse charge provisions will apply. Now comes the point that what you need to remember, or what are the key points here. First, here the supplier is also important because supplier should be a non-body corporate. In case your supplier of renting of motor vehicle is a body corporate, then RCM will not apply. Okay. However, if your recipient is a non-body corporate, supplier is also a non-body corporate, then also the RCM provisions will not apply. Okay. So all these conditions should be satisfied, that your recipient should also be a body corporate, supplier should be a non-body corporate, and the other two conditions which also I have mentioned, they should be, this person needs to be blocked. Just a minute, students, we'll take a 2 minutes break here. निसर्ग ब्रेक लगा दीजिए 2 मिनट का. निसर्ग. निसर्ग. Welcome, students. Welcome back to the session. Now, before the break, we were actually discussing the reverse charge provisions, and in fact, some of them were left also. So we had discussed renting of motor vehicle, where the recipient is a body corporate and supplier is a non-body corporate, then the reverse charge provisions will apply. Now we come to the next service, which is there in this category where the recipient is body corporate. Because we have categorized these two services on the basis of the recipient. Now, one of the recipient is the in where the recipient is body corporate and supplier is a director. Then also reverse charge provisions will apply. In this case, in fact, it has been clarified by way of a circular that the director has to provide these services in the capacity of a director. So for example, director is providing any other service. If director is providing a renting of immovable property service, then simply because a director has provided these services will not make it taxable under reverse charge. We have to see the other reverse charge provisions. We have to go to the renting of immovable property provision and we have to see that those conditions are fulfilled. Here, the director has to provide the services in the capacity of a director. Then only he will be liable. Then the company will be liable to pay tax under reverse charge, or the body corporate to whom it is providing the services, to whom the director is providing the services, will be liable to pay the tax. Next comes the GTA services. Now the goods transport agency services. Now goods transport agency has the option to pay the tax. It has the option whether it wants to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism or it wants to opt for the reverse charge mechanism or not. But it has to provide a declaration for that. So in case the GTA exercises the option to pay tax under reverse charge and the recipient is one of these persons, body corporate society, factory, cooperative society, registered person, then partnership firm, or the casual taxable person, if any of these. Now, why I have made this acronym here? Because I just want to reiterate that this is the way you can remember that, because GTA services, generally we feel that whenever GTA is there, we have to, invoke the reverse charge provisions. But that is not true. Every condition has to be seen. First is this recipient. Recipient has to be a specified recipient. Now, these specified recipient, for this, there is a complete list, and this list we have abbreviated as BSF CRPC. Now, BSF, I have already told you what it is, CRPC also. If any of these recipients are receiving GTA services, GTA has not exercised the option to pay tax itself. That means the recipient will pay the tax, then the reverse charge provisions will attract. And the rate of tax also should not be 12%. So because in case of 12%, the GTA, whenever GTA exercises the option to pay tax itself, it has two options, whether to pay tax at the rate of 12%. When I say 12%, 12% IGST, 6% CGST, 6% SGST, or it has the option to pay tax at the rate of 5%. Only difference is the admissibility of credit. In case of 12%, it can take credit of its input services and inputs and capital goods. In case of 5% rate, it cannot take credit on its input services. Okay. Second thing is that when it has not exercised the option to pay tax itself, then comes the reverse charge provisions. But then also we have to see the recipient. So if recipient is any of these persons, then only the tax will be paid under reverse charge mechanism. Okay. Next comes there can be a question in your mind that it seems that everybody is covered here. Body, corporate, partnership firm, society, cooperative society, factory, every kind of person is covered, casual taxable person. So when everyone is covered, then who would have been left here where the reverse charge provisions are not applicable? So that can be an unregistered casual taxable person can be there. One of the examples of the persons who are not covered here. Next we comes to the sponsorship service. Now, sponsorship service, generally students get confused in sponsorship service. And in fact, first of all, see the reverse charge provisions, then I will tell you a catch about sponsorship service. So in case of the sponsorship service, if they are being provided to a body corporate or a partnership firm. Now here I'm talking about the supplier. I'm not talking about the recipient. I'm talking about the supplier. So if sponsorship services are provided to a body corporate or partnership firm, then these services will be taxed under reverse charge. Now, suppose there is a statement given in the question that the Mr. X has paid the sponsorship fee of rupees 1 lakh to a so and so body corporate or to a partnership firm. Then what would be whether the tax would be payable under reverse charge or tax would be payable under forward charge? So we have disabled the chat. Chat is disabled. Okay. So I think you will not be able to answer, but we had to disable it. Hmm. Okay. In case any of you want to answer. So if I say, I don't want reverse charge provision to be answered here. I just want you to answer. Suppose I'm saying that XYZ company is paying the 2 lakh rupees as sponsorship fee to uh, to an associated chamber of commerce, or suppose any organization which is promoting business. So I'm taking the example of Associated Chamber of Commerce. It is paying 1 lakh rupees to Associated Chamber of Commerce, XYZ company. Then who is the service provider and who is the service recipient in this case? If any of you want to answer, you can raise your hand. I will unmute you. I will wait for 30 seconds. Otherwise, I will let you know what is the answer, because there is a catch here. Okay, so I think you don't know the answer to it, maybe, because this is something which students generally get confused in. If I say XYZ company has paid 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees, whatever the consideration is, it has paid sponsorship fee to an associated chamber of commerce, then we have to, now how can we ascertain that who is the supplier, who is the recipient? Supplier will be the person who is actually receiving the consideration, because in any business transaction, supplier will receive the consideration, and in lieu of this that consideration, it will pay it will provide the services, or it will make the supply. So when the sponsorship fee is received by Associated Chamber of Commerce, so in this case, Associated Chamber of Commerce will be the supplier. And who will be the recipient? XYZ company will be the recipient. Okay. So here, once it becomes clear to us that who is the supplier, who is the recipient, then we will be able to ascertain that whether reverse charge provisions will be applicable or not, because the recipient has to be a sorry. Uh, okay. I think I got, there is a correction here. This body corporate or partnership firm is also a recipient. Services has to be provided by to a body corporate or partnership firm. Okay. Now, in our example, we have taken XYZ company. It has paid the sponsorship fee. XYZ and company I'm taking. Now, this XYZ and company is a partnership firm. It has paid the sponsorship fee to Associated Chamber of Commerce. Now, if I take this example for the reverse charge provisions, okay, so in case of the reverse charge, that body corporate or partnership firm has to be the recipient. In our case, XYZ and company is a partnership firm, and we have now been able to ascertain that this is the recipient, this is the person who is actually receiving the service. So therefore, the reverse charge provisions will apply here. Had it been XYZ limited also, then also the reverse charge provisions would have applied. So we are saying that recipient has to be the specified person which we are talking about, the body corporate or partnership firm. But in case of the sponsorship service, we have to determine who is the recipient and who is the supplier, because generally students get confused in this point. Then comes the insurance agent services and insurance business. Now, if an insurance agent is providing services to an insurance business, again, this is the recipient. Now, so if recipient is an insurance business, then the reverse charge provisions will apply. Now, with this, we come to an end to the reverse charge provisions. Next is the points to be borne in mind while practicing the application-based questions. Now, in the initial stage of the session itself, I had discussed that when you are revising before the examination, you should mark or you should segregate some questions which you feel that you need to revise before the examination. For that, what you need to do is, when you are actually preparing for your this subject, when you are actually preparing this subject, when you are doing any chapter, after completing all the provisions of that chapter, you need to go to test your knowledge section, or you need to go to the practice, you need to practice the questions. So you can use your RTPs, you can use MTP booklets, test your knowledge section. All these are available for your practice, for practicing the questions of a particular topic. Now, when you are working out any question, the approach is that you should try to work out the answer independently without referring to the answer. See the question, apply the provision which you feel is the correct, and then you need to arrive at the answer. Then compare your question with the provided answers, and after comparing the answer, you will be able to locate the area where you feel that yes, this was the area where you need to improve upon. You were not able to find out the answer. In case your answer does not match with the suggested answer, then you should know that yes, this was something which you were not, the provision you were not able to appreciate, or you were not able to understand that provision. For that, you need to again go through that portion. You should go to the study through the study material, try to understand that provision, and then again try to answer that question. And those questions you should mark separately. That point you should highlight in your study in your reference book, whatever you are referring, MTP booklet or RTP, whatever it is. And day before examination, those questions you should once see, or you should have a glance at those questions. So before the examination, you need not solve the entire question, but at the time of preparing for the paper, you have to go through the question and you have to actually mark those questions that yes, I will actually solve it. You should fully solve that question and then try to compare your answer with the provided answer, the provided solution, and try to locate the area where you have committed the mistake. So in your subsequent revisions, or when you are subsequently practicing that question, you should pay due attention to that particular provision so that you can try to avoid that mistake during the examination, because you know that this particular point is a tricky point. You were not able to solve it correctly in the first instance. Now you can solve it properly. Okay. Now, another point which I would like to touch upon is how to understand a complex topic. Sometimes it so happen that you have come across a topic, you are doing your studies, classes are also there, LVC classes are there, then we are organizing webinars also where certain topics are being dealt with, and then they are also there to help you. But when you are studying the material, you come across a topic which you are not able to understand. So I told you that you need to refer the classes. Another way is that you try to read that topic from the material. Now, this is related to somehow memorizing that topic also. This will help you in memorizing it also. So you go through that the content of that particular topic from the study material, try to understand that topic, and then write it or try to explain it, write its explanation on a piece of paper in a manner as if you are explaining it to someone else. Suppose you are doing group studies, so you have to explain sometimes some concept to your friends. In fact, group studies is a very good way of actually clearing your concepts. So if you are not able to properly grasp a particular topic, try to write its explanation in a manner as if you're explaining that topic to someone. And in that process, you will be able to know that yes, there are some areas in that topic which you are not able to understand. So when you are trying to explain, some questions will automatically come to your mind because you are explaining it to someone. You have actually been put yourself in the position of a teacher, and you are some student is there whom you are explaining that point is. So you will, some questions will come in your mind while explaining that particular provision. So go back to the provision in the study material, try to locate those areas again, try to understand those points, and then you come out with the final explanation of that particular provision. This way, you will be able to understand that particular concept in a better manner. And this is the way of understanding the complex topics. Okay. You can take the help of classes also. You can, once you're not able to understand any point in that particular topic, you can see the respective portion of the LBC class or webinar. That is also there. But another way is you can go through the explanation given in the study material also for understanding that particular area where you feel there is a gap or some question which has come to your mind, and through your explanation, you're not able to answer that question. After that, you will be able to arrive at a proper explanation of that particular provision. Okay. So in this way, and now another point is that how revision has to be done, or how to keep your all the points which you are reading in a particular day, uh, how to memorize them effectively. For that, what you can do is whatever you have done in a particular day, you should revise it before the start of the next day. So what suppose I have done 4 topics in a day, those all those topics should be so before starting the next topic next day, at the start of the next day, you should first of all take out 15-20 minutes to revise, to just have a glance, even if you feel that you have done a lot in the previous day and you will not be able to revise everything in that short duration of time, because you cannot take again 4 or 5 hours to revise that. No, that should not be the case. you should take out 15 to 20 minutes and at max 30 minutes to revise whatever you have done the previous day. This way, if you keep on repeating this, so every day what you have to do is you have to revise whatever done in the on the previous day, and that a glance should be given to that. This way the concepts done in the previous day will be they will be implanted in your memory, or you will be able to retain those concepts in a better manner because you have done a kind of revision, even if it is a very quick revision, then also it will help you in retaining it for a longer period of time. Okay, and sometimes you can even try to understand the logic or the reasoning behind a particular provision, as I already discussed. That will also help you in revising that concept. Okay. So we had certain quizzes with us, which I thought I would be discussing with you, and I would be asking you to give the answers. But since we have okay. So let's see. First question is, presently the dash is leviable on dash of petroleum and diesel. You have your options as GST supply. In this case, Darshan and Rakesh, you can answer. If you know the answer, you can raise your hand and I will ask you to unmute and you can answer this question. Okay. In fact, Nilesh has also joined. Nilesh, I'm asking certain MCQs. These are the MCQ quizzes I was talking about. So I will take 4 or 5 MCQs just for your reference purpose, and I will. So if in case you know the answer, just raise your hand and you can answer these MCQs. So presently dash is leviable on dash of petroleum and diesel. First option is GST and supply, because that will make presently GST is leviable on supply of petroleum and diesel. Second option is central excise duty, manufacture, production, central sales tax on interstate sale, value added tax on intrastate sale, state excise duty on manufacture. Now you have to choose the correct option. We have given correct set of options which are given in the 4 options which is given to you. We have 5 possible combinations, 5 possibilities, out of which we have made few combinations in the options. You have to choose the correct option. So would any of you like to give the answer? Seems that you all are in preparation stage right now. So you are yet to revise the concepts. Okay, Rakesh has raised his hand. Yes, Rakesh. Rakesh, you can unmute and you can let me know. Okay, Darshan is saying yes, ma'am, revision is pending. That's okay, Darshan, because we have already assumed that many of you would be preparing at this point of time. That is not an issue. Uh, okay, Nilesh is saying option. Okay, Nilesh is saying A and Rakesh is also saying A. Okay, so an option A is 2, 3, and 4. That means yes. So first option, GST and supply. This is certainly not correct because we know that 5 petroleum products are outside the purview of GST till the time they have been they have not been so notified. So right now they are outside the purview of GST. So GST cannot be the correct answer. So at present, on them, the state excise duty is not being levied. They are under the control of the center. When they are so crucial products that the GST has not yet been levied on them, so definitely they are going to be under the purview of they are under the control of the central government, and they are subject to central excise duty, the manufacturer. Now, when it comes to the sale, so sale of these products, in case it is an interstate sale, then central sales tax would be levied. And in case of an intrastate sale, the VAT would be levied. Okay. So that is why the correct option comes to second, third, and fourth, and that is option A. And very good that both of you have answered it correctly. In fact, Darshan, you can also participate in next time. We'll be having these type of quizzes again. because then you will be very near to your examination. I will assume that all of you have gone through the syllabus, so we'll try to put in more quizzes in the BOS for success for CA exam session. Yeah, no issues. We can do it next time. So next question is, so this is over. Now, which of the following statements is correct? Now, this is comparatively easier statement. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the realm of GST. Manufacture or production of alcoholic liquor is subject to state excise duty. Interstate or intrastate sale of alcohol is subject to central sales tax or VAT, respectively. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is subject to GST. We have to tell the incorrect statement. This is important because many a times in your exam also, when you are answering any MCQ, we have observed that many a times students, fail to pay attention to the question, because they generally feel what you have to mention is the correct option, and they just see the first option or second option, which is first few options they see, and they find the correct option, they mark it without noticing that it is the incorrect option which has been asked from them. Okay, so good darshan that you have at least tried. So Nilesh is saying D. Rakesh is also, in fact, all three of you, Nilesh, Rakesh, and Darshan, all three of you have mentioned option D. Let us see what is the correct option. Alcoholic liquor for because we have to tell incorrect statement. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the realm of GST, because in the definition of goods itself, the in definition of GST itself, the alcoholic liquor for human consumption has been excluded. So it is outside the realm of GST. In fact, this itself gives us an idea that D is correct. So in this way, it was a bit easier one, because these two statements are contradictory and one of them can only be correct. So alcoholic liquor, everyone know that it is outside the purview of GST. GST is not there on it. In fact, for petroleum products, GST shall be levied from a date to be notified, but for alcoholic liquor, it is not so. It is totally outside the purview of GST. So when it is not subject to GST, its production is subject to state excise duty. Okay. Now, alcoholic liquor for human consumption is a state matter, and state excise duty is being levied. In case of the sale, you know that CST and VAT has to be levied on inter and intrastate respectively. So this particular statement is wrong, that it is subject to GST. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not subject to GST at all. Good that you people know the answer. In fact, we'll take some question from quiz 2. Sorry, say chapter 2. Let's see if you are able to answer this. Mr. Handsome, a Dell Credit agent, DCA of Charm Limited, agrees to raise invoices in his own name. At this point, you have to mark that he is raising invoice in his own name. Okay. And also guarantees for realization of payments from customers to Charm Limited. Since he's a Dell Credit agent, so Dell Credit agent is someone who promises his principal that he will get the payment or consideration realized from the recipients or from the buyers. In order to realize the payment from the customers on time, he extends short-term transaction-based loans to them and charges interest for the same. Okay. For the month of March, the sale of goods by Mr. Henson in his DCA capacity, in his Dell Credit agent capacity, is 2,80,000. Interest earned for the said customers from the short-term time for the timely payment of the dues is 20,000. Commission charged from the Charm Limited in respect of DCA services is 30,000. Now, whatever commission is which Charm Limited is providing or giving to Dell Credit agent is 30,000 rupees. You have to find out the value of goods which he is supplying to customers, and the value of supply of his agency services which he is providing to Charm Limited. Any answers for this? This one is a bit difficult, a bit tricky, but I would suggest you to try to answer this. Okay, I have got one answer from Nilesh. I will wait for 30 more seconds and let us see if Darshan, Rakesh, can you try the answer? अब देखो. Okay. Okay. Rakesh has also given one answer. Nilesh has given. Hmm. Okay, let us see the question. First of all, because the two answers which I have got, they are different. Let us see what the question says. First of all, we have to see whether Mr. Handsome is an agent as per para 3 of Schedule 1 or not. Because anybody who has been termed as an agent does not become an agent under para 3 of Schedule 1. This particular quiz or question MCQ is based on para 3 of Schedule 1. Schedule 1 contains the activities or transactions which are considered as supply or deemed as supply without any consideration being charged. So here, the Del Creditor agent, Mr. Handsome, is issuing invoices in his own name. Now, this particular point makes him an agent under para 3. Okay. So this point becomes clear that yes, he is an agent as per para 3 because he is issuing invoice in his own name and not in the name of the company, that is Charm Limited, or not in the name of the principal. He is issuing invoice in his own name. He is an agent as per para 3 of Schedule 1. Now, in order to realize the payments, he is giving short-term loans also. For that loan, now he has charged rupees 20,000 as interest. So he is charging from the customers 2,80,000 and 20,000. Now, the question which arises here is that whether this 20,000 will be included in the value of supply to customers or whether it will be an independent supply, whether this interest will be an independent supply. In fact, I have got an answer from Darshan also. Good, Darshan, you have made a try. I'm happy to see that you have also tried. Now, see, the Del Creditor agent has given the given services, two services to his customers. He has supplied goods worth rupees 2,80,000 and he has given the you can say credit facility or services of extending the short-term loans to his customers. Now, since he is an agent under para 3 of Schedule 1, this is the service provided by this is a composite supply which is provided by the Del Creditor agent to his customers. Okay. He is giving two services. One is he is supplying the goods, and second, he is giving the credit facility. Now, when I am providing two services, and why it is naturally bundled, because when I am giving goods, Del Creditor agent generally provides the credit facility also. This is the nature of the activity which is being performed by a Del Creditor agent. So this becomes this short-term credit facility which the Del Creditor agent is providing to the customers. It is a service which is naturally bundled because it is in ordinary course of business. He generally provides this credit facility to his customers. Therefore, with the supply of goods, this credit facility also gets clubbed. Okay, and it becomes a composite supply. So the goods which are sold by the Del Creditor agent, supplied by Del Creditor agent to the customer, value will include rupees 20,000 in because they are in the nature of composite supply. Otherwise, what would happen? This 20,000 would have been exempt in case he would not have been an agent. Then what would have happened? DCA would have provided the credit facility. DCA would have provided the credit facility and goods would have been supplied by the principal. So these two transactions would have been two separate transactions. Supply of goods would have been made by the principal because the DCA is not an agent. In case DCA is not an agent in the given case, then the invoice would have been issued by the principal. Principal would have sold the goods to the customer, and 2,80,000 would have been the value of supply of goods by principal to customer. And this credit facility would have been a separate supply by the DCA del creditor agent. And in that case, it would have been exempt. But in our case, these two supplies, supply of goods as well as supply of the credit facility has been made by Mr. Handsome, del creditor agent. Therefore, these two will be clubbed. And it is because of this reason that this interest has become taxable. Now it is not exempt, it is taxable and it will be clubbed in the value of supply of goods made by del creditor agent to the customer. So the value of supply of goods to customers will become 3 lakhs and the value of supply of agency services. That is, there is no doubt here because he has provided the agency services to Charm Limited. Charm Limited has given him a commission of rupees 30,000. That becomes the value of supply by Mr. Handsome to Charm Limited. Okay. So now I hope all of you have understood this concept, this particular point you have understood. Hope Darshan and Nilesh, you are now clear with this point. And Rakesh, good that you have marked the correct option in this case. Yeah, good. Now we come to, now this is, let's see some other question. Let us answer this question. This is an easy question. I hope you will be able to answer this. Sudhakar Enterprises has undertaken an intrastate supply of taxable goods. Intrastate. CGST and UTGST will be payable on said supply, provided the supply is made within Delhi, Puducherry, Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir. So this question, I think you can answer because this is the basic chargeability question, that which type of tax will be levied. If the transaction is within Delhi, it is an intrastate transaction. This is given in the question. Type of tax is also they are providing that CGST plus UTGST will be levied. Now UTGST has to be levied in case supply is within Delhi or Puducherry or Ladakh or Jammu and Kashmir. Nilesh and Rakesh have provided the answer. Darshan, you can also make a try. And I need a small reason also why you have given this. Why it is not Delhi, Puducherry or Jammu and Kashmir? If you can give it in brief that why it is only Ladakh. See, in this question, they have given you 4 options. And if you see, all 4 options are union territories. So you can get confused that all 4 should be leviable to CGST and UTGST. Some students might get confused in this way that why UTGST is not there in Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir. Correct answer is actually Ladakh, option C. And Nilesh and Rakesh, you have given the correct answer. Ladakh, for the timing, it has been separated from Jammu and Kashmir. It is a separate union territory. Because of union territories may be Jammu and Kashmir. Nilesh, you had earlier provided the correct answer. No worries, you were right earlier. So correct answer is actually Ladakh. Because Ladakh is a union territory. Okay. Other 3 are also union territory, but with legislature. So it is a very important point which you should appreciate because even if you have 2 of you have marked the correct answer, Rakesh has given the absolute correct reply to me that they have their own legislature. Under GST law, the definition of state includes the states, respective states which are there in India, plus the union territories with legislature. Now, all the union territories with legislature are also included in the definition of states. So Delhi has its own legislature, Puducherry also has its own legislature, and Jammu and Kashmir also has its own legislature. After the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir, now Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir are both are union territories, but Jammu and Kashmir has its own legislature. Okay. So as per syllabus version, it's not there. As per the definition, actually, syllabus and the act cannot be two separate things. As per the syllabus, also the definition of union territories is the definition which is provided under the act. Okay, though there is a reorganization that is there because Ladakh is a union territory which does not have its own legislature. So Delhi, Puducherry, Jammu and Kashmir, these three union territories, in fact, these are the only three union territories which are there in the definition of states because they have their own legislature. However, Ladakh is a union territory which does not have its legislature, and that is why UTGST is leviable on this particular transaction. Okay. Okay. So with this, we'll come to an end of this session because we'll take the quiz and other questions in the next session. In next session, we'll primarily focus on the exam related tips, that what are the points you need to keep in mind while appearing for the examination when you're writing the paper, how you need to manage time in the examination, how you have to answer the questions, what is the perfect way of answering the questions to score better, what are the commonly committed mistakes which are done by the students, the mistakes which students generally commit during the examination and which you can avoid by knowing them, how you can revise your entire syllabus day before examination. For that, in fact, some of the strategies we have shared today, that you need to prepare your notes, you need to prepare your summaries, you can use Saransh, you have to have the questions selected for the purpose of revision before the examination. So all these things you need to, the revision material has to be prepared at this time. Revision has to be done before the examination or revising before the examination. So all those tips we will be discussing in the next session. And if time permits, we'll take few questions of RTP also. But I would suggest or I would request all of you to go through the RTP before next session. Come prepared with you just solve the questions of RTP once, so that when we solve the questions here, you are better prepared and with you know the areas where you want to ask some queries, you have some doubts, they will be better dealt in the session. So we'll take the RTP and the next session will be an exam focused session. Today we focus more on the preparation, more on the applicability. What are the questions what are the points which you need to remember for the during the preparation stage, how you need to memorize the concepts, how you can be in a better situation or you can be better prepared for the forthcoming examination. That was our focus. Okay. Okay. Okay, Nilesh, you were not sure about the answer, but now you must have got the answer. In fact, you're yes. So Rakesh will be solving the uh, RTP probably in the next session, and all the other tips we will be sharing with you, because then at that time exams will be nearing and you just have to be prepared for with everything you need to do in the exam. Okay. So with this, we come to an end of the session, and thank you for the patient listening. Thank you.